AskReddit by C. What's the most toxic fan base you've ever seen? All those crazy fans who support serial killers just because they think they're hot. Ted Bundy fanatics, etc. I recently went down a Columbine rabbit hole and discovered the people that like the shooters. As in, think they're hot, like their aesthetic, etc. One of them traveled to Littleton and killed herself on the 20th anniversary. Insane. The Supernatural fan base has run 3 of the main guest stars off social media. I know it isn't all the fans, it's sad it gets to that level with anyone though. Geez, I'm just a casual fan of Supernatural. What are these folks doing specifically that chased actors off social media? The Heartstopper fandom bullied one of the main actors, who was only 18, into outing himself because they were saying he was queerbaiting fans by playing a B character while being straight after he was photographed holding hands with a girl. While the show is about a guy who was bullied in school for being gay. Not the worst considering those that were already mentioned, but it was pretty disgusting to see. The idea of queerbaiting being a phenomenon that can be applied to real people is so fucking bizarre and invasive. Pop someone on the internet could say I didn't enjoy a new song, I thought it was too repetitive, and the entire comment section would just be berating them and insulting them, even making it personal. For it, like, seriously, your idols don't know who you are, neither do you actually know who they are. It's one thing to be a fan but another to act like you're in a cult. It's also sad how angry fans get if their pop idols have any life or personality outside of their stage persona. I came across a video about how fans think a member of a super popular pop band has become a terrible person because she didn't immediately sign a new deal with her record company, and there are rumors that she might be in a relationship. Hitalia, back in the day. I never got into that part of the fandom, but I can't even bring myself to rewatch it for fun over a decade later because the idea makes me cringe so hard. Lol. Deleted. People who get super invested in the love lives of celebrities are generally the kind I try to avoid. Andrew Tate's cult fan base. His fans are honestly worse than him, which is an achievement. I am a huge Supernatural fan and there is a lot of toxicity in the fandom, particularly among shippers. People get super bent out of shape over social justice stuff too, which has a place, but this fandom takes it too seriously and goes as far as bullying actors off Twitter over dumb, harmless comments, and sending hateful shit to problematic shippers. Some fans also are legit stalkers of the men, and it's really creepy. I've read that the actors' wives remained low profile until later seasons because they legit got death threats from fans who wanted to be with the male actors or ship the male actors together. This may be fandom lore, but I've heard about it. It's a strange community and I enjoy my place in it, but not like I once did. There are almost too many crazies for it to be fun these days. You know, this is one of the few I've seen up close. It's a show about 2 dudes hunting monsters. People don't need to take it as seriously as they do. It's fun, enjoyable, and has good characters. The way people get so damn possessive over the actors is straight up fucking creepy. Oh boy. So, I used to mod one of the biggest My Chemical Romance fan groups on Facebook. It had around 40,000 members at one point. It was basically around the clock reporting of self-harm threats and images when the band broke up in 2013. I went to college with 2 of the other mods here in the USA, another was in the UK, one was in Vietnam. I have absolutely nothing against mental illness of any kind, and I understand a massive amount of people deal with it daily. It can cause people to do some things, but that many people in one group, it was like they were feeding off of each other and trying to outdo each other in how crazy the band breakup made them go. We were seeing pictures of words carved into arms and stuff. One by one, we each just abandoned that group page for our own sanity. Teenagers scare the living shit out of me. Dream's fanbase. The reactions to his face reveal were so incredibly fucked up. As an ex-furry, furries Yet some individual people are nice, but now that I've been out of the fandom for a while, so many people I looked up to are turning out to be sexual predators. Steven Universe. Back in 2015, there was this young girl who drew a buff character very slim, and fans began to bully her because they thought she was fat shaming, even when the artwork was never intended to be. The bullying became so bad the girl committed suicide. I kinda forgot if she recovered, but it was a big deal on the internet and went beyond the fanbase, and the creator had to talk about the situation. She attempted suicide. She thankfully recovered. Comfort show fandoms. They end up getting bothered by stuff that people in normal fandoms would not. Like while Neelix might be hated here and there in the Star Trek fandom, you can openly talk about him in mostly any way you want. While with the Buffy fandom, it's a crapshoot when you talk about certain characters like Cinder or Diane in the BoJack Horseman fandom. It's sort of ironic that comfort show fandoms end up being echo chambers more these days. Sometimes it's more of the mods admins of an online community than the actual fan base. They are pretty arbitrary about what can be posted, even if it does not break the rules. Sometimes they are so fucking weird about what they consider reposts, or just generally making the group unpleasant to be a part of in one way or another. Kind of unfair to compare anything else to the Star Trek fandom, which in my experience has been exceptionally fantastic, wholesome, thoughtful, and welcoming. RuPaul's Drag Race. Can't believe no one said it yet. It's totally toxic and weird and cult-like. For real, the way Mistress was treated by the fans was absolutely insane. They're gonna be shady towards each other, it's a part of the culture. They don't have to stand up for the other queens being shaded, they're adults, they can take it. It's TV for crying out loud. Pretty much all the political streamer fan bases, you know who you are. My mom watches them. I told her to stop because she went from someone who didn't care for politics to obsessed with them. And gets very angry just like those streamers are. The realists from Star Wars. Now I was very into shipping Rey and Kylo, but these crazies took it outside the confines of fiction and started threatening Adam Driver's wife and kid and posting death fantasies about his kid, and even stalked him and took photos of inside his car with his dog inside. They also attacked Daisy Ridley's boyfriend because in their minds, Daisy and Adam belonged together. I had the misfortune of being in the same theater as a group of these people during the premiere of episode 9, and they would not shut up at the end, and they basically trashed the theater as they left. I'm so boggled nobody has said Barbs yet. What is that? Rick and Morty. Had to stop watching the show because I didn't want to even feel like I was associated with that fan base. It's a fine show. Even a good show. But the fans seem to think that it's super radical and nothing like anything else that has been done before. Star Wars. No matter what movie or show you like, SW fans will say you're not true fans. I rarely see Star Wars content on any social media that's positive. No one talks about the stuff they like about Star Wars, but rather non-stop bitch the things they hate. I said this too. No one hates Star Wars more than Star Wars fans, honestly. Voltron was so bad that people barely talk about the show now without cringing over the ship wars. Overwatch. And the developer almost causes part of it. Sure, there's people who are just toxic because they are toxic, but the ranked game mode encourages a lot of toxicity. I don't play a lot of ranked games, so maybe this is commonplace, but in Overwatch, your competitive ranking increases and decreases based solely on whether you win. You can lose a hard-fought game and play exceptionally on an individual basis, but it doesn't matter. When I used to play, our friends group would rip apart at the seams because everyone's SR would drop if we lost, and so fingers would be pointed. For a game that collects so many different detailed statistics, it shouldn't be entirely based on winning. It just encourages people to attack teammates when you lose. Competitive anything generally ruins a lot of the fun for many games. Homestuck. As someone who was at the fringes of being in that fandom, It was fucking wild hearing stories of people harassing the author, ruining conventions, and other horror stories. Like, chill. Oh man, I read through Homestuck back in the day before I knew much about the fans. A friend in university recommended it, and I loved it. It was super creative and very playful with the medium. Lots of really intelligent jokes and writing. Then I met the fans. The cringiest people to ever crawl onto the internet. I couldn't ever read it after that. I was going to say and rotate, but someone beat me to it. By the nose second would be Elon Musk. He's interested in progressing the human race via tech, and this is great, but he of recent times seems to think he's untouchable. A common mistake of the ultra successful is they start to believe all the hype about them. Sam Bankman-Fried is another recent example of this that springs to mind. By one of the world's most influential media platforms, then tortured, and all because a few people take to that platform to criticize him. Shocked I had to scroll down this far to see Elon Musk. His fans are insufferable. I see someone's already mentioned Supernatural, so along with that one I'd like to add Marvel fanboys, and Star Wars fanboys. And to lesser extent, Doctor Who fans. That only recently started though. If you don't like Tennant's Doctor Who a boy. They don't like that a complete random stranger doesn't like the same thing they like and get bent out of shape over it. Doctor Who fans is most certainly not recent. I was and am a huge fan of the Moffat era, and I used to get death rape threats a decade ago for defending his writing online. The John Nathan Turner era of classic Who was hotly debated, and the Sixth Doctor has long since been controversial since he strangled his companion in his first serial. Old fans were furious with Russell T Davies for introducing the Time War because they thought it was disrespectful to all the Gallifrey Time Lord aspects of the original show, having been part of the show since at least the War Games in 1969. And of course the EU8 audio drama people who kept the fandom alive during the wilderness years have always been at odds with the more mainstream fans. Doctor Who is one of my favorite shows. My first tattoo was a quote from the show and I've cosplayed at 2 conventions, but holy fuck, the fandom is nuts. And Dutch F1 fans. Seriously, this is where all the douchebags from other toxic fan bases meet and spend their Sundays.